I'm Otis Smith, your host of Interruption Podcast. Coming up next, we have Ray Leonard Jr., Sugar Ray Leonard son. Please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, subscribe, leave comments on every episode to let me know what you think of the guests and the interview. And also reach out to me and let me know who you would like for me to interview, and I'll see if I can get a hold of them. Coming up next, Ray Leonard Jr. Welcome to another edition of Interruptions. I'm your host, Otis Smith. Today, I got another treat, another brilliant guest for you. He is Ray Leonard Jr.
Well, I'm interrupting you already. Let's go.
Hey man, hey, the only other person ever did that, man, was Rodney Perry. He said, man, how the show gonna be interruption and you'll get interrupted? Yeah. I love it, man.
Oh, I'm good at following directions.
I love it. So, hey, he already introduced himself, Mr. Ray Leonard Jr. This man is a brilliant entrepreneur. He's been in sports entertainment. He's a consultant, motivation speaker, and a guy that knows how to interrupt the flow. Ray Leonard Jr. How you doing, sir?
Good, Otis. Thanks for having me, man. You know, I appreciate being on. I love what you're doing. So
I appreciate it. Another shout out to Pam, man. Pam told me, I think it was last year, and she said, you know, Ray Leonard Jr. is one of my clients, and I was like, okay. I said, yeah, I need to interview him, and kind of just got busy doing. And then I just saw something on LinkedIn. And it clicked. I was like, "Oh man, that's Ray. I need to get him on." And so I shot Pam a quick email. I said, "Hey, can you set it up?" So
Pam be putting it down. Pam know everybody or anybody.
Man, Pam, she's a true blessing, man. And thank you for coming on the show. We don't take it lightly. We know you could be doing anything else, so thank you for blessing us with your presence. My first question for you is, when did you find where you became who you are, became your own person? When did you kind of discover, like, I just, you know, a lot of times we know who we are on the inside, but you know, we don't act it out. We don't become so. Right. When was that moment for you when you had to say, I got to be me?
Yeah, you know what? I think was way back. I mean, when I was a youngin', man, and growing up in Maryland and probably like 12, 13 years old. And I started, kind of saying I wanted to separate myself from what my father had accomplished. Because everybody like, oh, this little Ray, Sugar Ray Leonard's son, you gonna box? You gonna do this? And I was like, man, I'm tired of hearing that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like I want my own name. I don't just want to be in the shadow. I mean, I appreciate the success and things that my father had, but we talk about having that individual fingerprint. We all have our individual fingerprints. So the mark that I leave on this world has, you know, it's my life. So at a young age, I was like, I'm gonna find my own way. I'm not just gonna be sitting here soaking up with what my father's done. I ain't asking for nothing. I'm gonna be my own man. So that started out, you know, very, very early, and that's probably the reason why I didn't go into boxing, you know, the way I could have, and probably had a easier path. But I wanted to do it my own way, and whether we're stubborn or whether it was just, you know, maybe just being a Scorpitarius, then maybe that was it. So I don't know.
But no, man, you know, and that's amazing, because I remember, and I'm sure you know, everybody talks about it all the time, the commercial with you and your dad back in the 70s. I'm gonna say I was born in 71, so I'm a 70s guy too.
Yeah, you right around the same time. We
right the same age. And I wanted to be in the commercial so bad. I'm looking at my dad.
We getting up out of bed, bones cracking, stuff hurting nowadays.
Man, so, what you talking about, man? But when I saw that, I was looking at my dad and like, come on, you know, like we can do one too. Like, come on, they go do a commercial. They did one.
Right.
Come on.
Right. But that was the cool thing, and that was the, you know, I guess one of the things that were catalysts for me to think that I know I could accomplish anything. That we did a commercial. We were the Black family that was on national television at this
Mm-hmm.
early age when there wasn't any other representation. So I always felt a space in my heart that I needed to show out and do the right thing for my people and show that anything's possible because I was shown early on. I would
Right.
travel the world. I met Nelson Mandela. I met the Queen of
Wow.
England. I'm sitting there with Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. I mean, it gave me the thought process that anything is possible, no matter where you come from. I was born to two teenage parents in the hood and in Palmer Park, Maryland, and
Yeah.
man, we did something that was never before seen. So
that's beautiful, man. That you, like I said, that's why I had it as the first question to carve out your own path. And sometimes, when you come from a family where your family, your mother and father, have headlines before you, and you still trying to figure it out yourself, trying to come into your own manhood, and then not only just your manhood, but also what kind of man you want to be at the same time. It can sometimes it could be overwhelming, and people look at it like, oh man, I bet you had this, I bet you, and it's like, nah man, it ain't that easy.
it's never what you think it is. And then
Right.
we all can present our Instagram life, our filtered life, and say, here, this is what we show. But the reality of it is, we all go through a lot of stuff, man. We got no matter what background you come from, there's things that are happening. When a lot of the other kids that I grew up with or knew that were the celebrity kids or politicians' kids, they went a whole other direction. I mean, they got caught up in thinking that I'm bigger than somebody else, and then went into drugs, alcohol, all that kind of stuff, and then their life turned out totally different. So, I appreciate that, I had good people around me, from my grandparents, from my mother, people that kept me, my friends that kept me grounded and said, here, you ain't bigger than us, Slim. You
just Ray.
You stay focused. That's it. You Ray Jr. That's it. That's who you are.
And you know what's a beautiful part about that is that then you always knew what home was. See, when the people that you grow up with or your people around you treat you the same, then you already know what home is. It's hard when the people around you start changing. Then it becomes hard to find, where home is.
Right.
When did you go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah. Not saying that everybody was like that, because you get the hangers on, you get the people that are trying to benefit from whatever success you have. But yeah, it's good to have those real ones around you. That's see,
if we grew up together, the only thing I would have asked for when you said Michael Jordan, I'd be like, hey man, listen, I need some J's.
No, that fool, he was still mad at me because I beat him in basketball.
Hey, yeah, I heard he's very competitive. He don't like to let it go either.
Oh yeah. So when I was about 12 years old, Michael Jordan came to the house, and we played basketball. And I shot the first shot and went in, and I said, I ain't playing you no more. So I beat him 2-0. It's a wrap, Mike.
Hey, he didn't know he was on your court. You set the rules.
I said the rules. He's still mad at me.
And like, deal with it. You might already spoke to this, but if you could just elaborate a little bit. When did you decide going a different path than your father? I know you said like you didn't want to box, and that's because I'm a father, you're a father, and sometimes you want your kids to follow in your footsteps. But when did you realize to say, hey, I appreciate everything Dad did. He was one of the best to ever do it, but that ain't really what I want to do.
Yeah, and the funny thing was that I was really good at boxing. I was fast, I was strong. I was a top tier athlete. I talked to my father, I'm a way better athlete than he ever was. But he was better in his sport. But when I started playing football, running track and field, I was a state champion in track and field. I was a 2-sport athlete in Division I, Ohio University. I played ball, and I found my own space that I was a really great athlete. So when I found that, I said, I could do my own thing and carve my own path. So that was early on, probably about 12, 13 years old, that I found it and said, you know what, I'm just gonna do my thing. And it wasn't just about athletics. I excelled at athletics, but I wanted to be the man behind the scenes. I wanted to be a great businessman. I wanted to be a
Okay.
great father. I wanted to do things differently than what my father did. So I don't know whether it was just innate and put in me, or what my mother was a guiding factor in that. But the reality of it is I knew it early on. I knew early on that I wasn't just going to be uh, uh, an ornament on this tree of success. I was going to be my own thing.
That's good, and I'm sure he loves it, because it took me a long time to figure out when my dad told me, he said, "I want you to be better than me." And for a long time, I never understood what that meant. I was like, "Man, what's wrong with you?" And yeah,
Right.
because I thought he had the coolest job in the world. You know how it is when you're a little kid and you can
Yep.
just go hang out with dad, and you out and about through all the day, and he gonna stop by McDonald's, because we got to stop by McDonald's. Okay, where we at? We got to stop by
Right.
McDonald's. So you
Right.
you get that, and then your father say, "Hey, I want you to grow. I want you to be better than me. I want you to be a better man than I." And it took me a while. So by you carving your own path and doing it, the way God gave it to you, for you to blaze a trail, I'm sure he's proud of that. And
Yeah,
and
it's crazy that you say
mhm,
that about be better. It was my grandfather, my
mhm.
father's father, that told me, yeah, when you know better, do better. And that's my podcast. It's just called it Know Better, Do Better. So my grandfather told me that, and it stuck with me. And even though I'm sitting here in Las Vegas at
Mhm.
ringside at the fights, and my father, all these people around us, hey, I don't know whether I was just naive or something, but
Mhm.
it was never like too big for me. I said, we supposed to be here, and I'm supposed to be better than what you doing.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love it, because you didn't shy away. Sometimes well, when I say you didn't shy away, what I meant, you already knew you was built for this. You know,
Right.
you was built for it. So it was like putting a custom fitted suit on for it. You already know this fits. All I got to do is wear it and then just walk into it. That's all I got to do.
As
So
you say, God ordains the path of some people. I can go out on stage and talk to 10,000 people, or be in a room with 5 people, and I'm talking the same, and it doesn't phase me. I can be on stage. It's funny because even my kids now, they're all athletes, and they play ball, and they do their thing, and the stage is never too big for them. And so I think something in the DNA is just like, bring it on.
bring it up,
Like,
bring it up.
yeah,
Like this
bring it
what we
on.
do. This what we
That's
do.
what we do. Yep. Yep. We up.
Tell me more about the Launch Team Consulting and Universal Media Group.
Yeah. So, business has always been, when, the football career changed, because I thought I was going to be a NFL star, and, had injuries, and I got to try it with the Arizona Cardinals, but that didn't work out. But I thought I was going to be a superstar athlete. And, in 96, the movie Jerry Maguire came out. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, if Tom Cruise can be an agent, I can be an agent. I can do it. So I'm foolish that way. But I started my own sports agency right directly out of college. Had some of the biggest names in the world. Got certified from the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. Sold my company by the time I was 26 years old. So entrepreneurship has always been part of my DNA. Business has been part of what I do. So moving forward, fast forward, I started a company called Launch Team Consulting with my business partner, Dr. Joy Wright, who's a Navy veteran, one of the
Okay.
first women to integrate aircraft carriers, and way back in the day. And it was like her and like 5,000 men. So she was doing her thing. So we were all trailblazers. So we created a company to deal with diversity, to deal with leadership issues within companies, organizations, and the military. And that kind of started my whole speaking business, because
Mm-hmm.
I started talking to the different organizations and doing training on diversity and things of that nature. and they asked me to speak, and all of a sudden they said, we're gonna pay you for it. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is okay. Y'all gonna
Okay,
pay me
okay.
to come talk to y'all? I got the gift of gab. I'm gonna talk for 60 minutes real easy. So y'all gonna pay me to do it. But it came a way of passing, a way to get my message and voice out there, and to all the wisdom and things that I've learned over the years to help others. So that's what Launch Team Consulting does. We help build better businesses, better people, better organizations.
So what is that? When you was talking about all inclusive, is it teaching, companies how to be inclusive and not? Because I'm seeing a trend in corporate America now, where when you and I was coming up, you, you had to be clean cut. Like
Yep.
your look had to be clean cut. Mama don't would tell you, well, you ain't gonna get no job with an earring in your ear, or you're not gonna get a job, looking a certain way. And now I see across corporate America, people are able to be authentically themselves as long as they are performing at the job that they're, hired to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's each organization has their rules of
Hmm.
how they want to present themselves, and I don't behoove them for saying that this is our culture, this is how we look, this is what we're doing. But no, you have to be open to building your organization on not just what your thought process is, but on the full diversity of other people. And because if you want to be a successful organization, you have
Hmm.
to have input not just from people that look like you or sound like you. You got to have
Hmm.
people that represent what we are in the world. And so if you
Gotcha.
don't do that, it hurts your organization. So when I talk about being inclusive, I'm
Hmm.
not just talking about inclusive about the look, but the thought process, the mindsets of
Okay.
everybody that you're actually representing on your target audience.
And what does Universal Media Group cover?
Yeah, so I'm involved in a lot of different companies, organizations, and have ownership because I believe diversity of ownership is the true way that you create generational wealth. So
Correct.
I'm the CEO of a company called Ovations.com. It's a talent marketplace that you can directly hire and book speakers and subject matter experts without having to deal with the agents. So people that you want to hire, you can go to them directly and you pay them. The money's good, and you deal with it without the middleman. Um, Universal Media Group is we're content driven. So we want to create content that's different than what is out there nowadays, because you see so much noise, so much mess. And when parents or families or no, you want to consume different content, even if it's celebrity content, you want to consume content that fits your lifestyle or what you do. And so that's what we do. We create clean documentary content. We can create content for podcasts and everything else that makes sense and then shows our values and helps our people move forward.
Oh man, y'all need to come get me then. I mean, what y'all waiting
Yeah,
on,
for
man? You
sure,
slipping,
for
you slip,
sure,
y'all
for
slipping.
sure. I'm, al- I'm already on it. Hey, nothing happens by mistake. I'm on this show for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let's make it happen, man. Because I try to be real diverse, and to your point, what you were talking earlier, I figured out that I don't like just one thing, because I started out just trying to interview just in the sports realm, because just like you, I did sports management. I did it on the brand side, the marketing endorsement side of athletes. But then I started to think about it. Well, if you do that, then you're only in one genre. You're only dealing with one group of people that want to see sports. But I don't
Right,
even watch sports 24 hours, 7 days a week. So it just
right.
morphed into I go all across lanes, from music to entrepreneurs like yourself, actors, gospel. I'm everywhere with it.
So the biggest thing for me, that's great that you say that, because I got to see at a 30,000 foot view
Hmm.
the space of people always talk about, damn, they paying LeBron James $200 million.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, what the hell is the dude that's paying him do? And that's not. I want to be that guy. I don't want to be LeBron James. I want to be the guy that's paying LeBron James because he's working for somebody, right? So
Correct.
obviously, you know, we have been brought up to think that there's limitations to what we can do as people. So I want to break that mold, and I want to be that role model. Shows that No, no, we can be the person that's paying. We can run the country. We can do these things. We can be the billionaires or the people that our kids look up to and say, "Here, I want to be not just the athlete, but the person that pays the
Oh
athlete."
yeah. Yeah, that reminded me of that Chris Rock joke years ago, when he said no, Shaq is rich, yeah, but the man that paid him, he's wealthy. He's
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
say
exactly.
rich, you can lose that in a card game. Like you lose that
Right,
wealth.
right, right.
It
It changed up. It's gone.
wealth. It take a minute to get rid of wealth. Wealth don't
Yeah.
wealth is old money. Wealth is
Old money,
old.
and it builds over time, and you have to be strategic, and you have to be what they say, intentional about how that happens. We they had a 400-year head start on us, so we got to catch up.
Gotta catch
What
up.
we doing? We want to, yeah.
And that's what made me when I saw what you was doing in business, and you great at this. You already know how this go, because you're already segueing to my question, so it's real easy for me. You're making it easy for me. But
All right.
when you got into sport, what drove you into? I know what it did for me, but what drove you to sports management?
Well, sports management. Well, what drove me to that was seeing so many, especially in the boxing world, seeing so many folks get taken advantage of, because
Mm-hmm.
you have, boxing is still the most lucrative one night sport in all of any sport. You can make 50-60 million dollars in one night. You see Floyd Mayweather is doing this thing. Those cats make ridiculous amount of money, but it's only that top tier percentage that do it, and everybody else that's in the top 20 are basically breaking bread to try to feed their families, and then
Right.
taking injuries and things, and then you walk back and you had a career of a short career, and then you don't have anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing of me as sports manager was to stop have the athletes being used, especially the athletes of color, to being used to kind of take your talents and show off with it, but at the end of the day you have nothing to show for it. So I wanted to be the advocate for the athlete, and that's the reason why I went into sports management. It wasn't nothing else. I didn't think it was going to be a path for me to get rich or anything else. I just
I
wanted to be
got
an
you.
advocate.
Well, and it's funny because I had the next question for you was, and I because I said when I asked him this question, this the follow up question was, why did you stop?
the same The same question, same thing. I stopped because it was more like babysitting than what they showed in the
Yeah.
movie.
Okay.
They
Okay. All right. So I know.
had, like Jerry Maguire was like, "Show me the money," and he found the woman and got the Quan with Cuba Gooding. I was like, "Oh, this is cool as hell. I can do this." And then next thing you know, I'm getting phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, my girlfriend broke up with me. I'm like, man, Slim, come on, like what? I can't do this as a older person. As I grew in business, I didn't want to be the babysitter, but I've learned, and I still do consulting for athletes. A ton of the 5 folks that I used to represent back in the day, I still do
Okay.
consulting for them. I still take the calls, but it's a different conversation, and I learned how to set boundaries.
Okay.
So it's easier. So a lot of things like the NIL stuff right now, the name,
Mm-hmm.
image, and likeness with these kids that are coming up, I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot with that right now. And so I'm
Okay.
helping kind of advise students and athletes, student athletes, and parents, and how to maneuver things, because it's at the end of the day, it's business. Business is business.
Okay. Okay. Because I know for me it was kind of somewhat what I got to where I was like, man, I can't relate to the athlete anymore. Like I because you get older, they getting younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things are changing. And like you said, it was the attention. And I was like, man, y'all need that much attention. Dude, you playing in front of 70-some thousand people, at the at the stadium, then you on TV. I mean, how much attention do you need? I mean,
Yeah, that's like shoot. I have 4 kids. I do not need to be Nick Cannon. I don't need no more kids. I
nah,
don't need
I
no
ain't
more.
trying to.
Like,
Nah,
yeah,
nah.
I am your agent, your advisor. That's it. So I'm not going to be helping raise you, but I love the folks,
No,
man.
I love that. I still have a couple of clients that I still stay in contact with. I had Terrence Robinson, who played for the Steelers and the Falcons, and then I had Brian Randall, who was
Mm-hmm.
2004 ACC Player of the Year. That was one of my clients. So I still, keep in contact with a few of my, former clients. And so I know what you mean. Some you do get really attached to, like, especially when you see how they're doing later on in life and they're doing
Yeah.
well. But I was just curious. I was like, man, why did he stop, man? They need him out here now. They need him.
Yeah. And no, I take it on a day-to-day basis. I still do it, but I'm not doing it through the traditional agencies anymore. I
No,
still
I can
advise.
see it. No, I can see it in your eyes. That's why I'm
I still
laughing. I can
advise.
see it.
I still advise. They call me Sugar Shane Mosley, my buddy man, Gary Trent. All my former clients, they still call me, man. We still talking. They like, what do you think about this? I'm like, all right, let me show you. I'm gonna give you this information.
That's cool. That's cool though. That's cool because you're still affecting change. And
Yes.
even in the boxing world, and when you didn't have to go in the ring and fight, and be compared to your father, but you're still making a difference. So that's good, man. That's
Yeah,
real
yeah.
good.
It's funny because we have I'm doing something with Tommy Hearns Jr. and Marvin Hagler Jr. and Roberto Duran's daughter Rochelle. Like we're trying to put something in place for boxers that changes the game, that gives them the opportunity to have a health insurance, to have ownership of their intellectual property, those kind of things. So if we can come together as former rivals from our parents, and
Right.
the opportunity is there for anybody to do something.
And that's great because kids through all time pretty much have been that way. Like, man, that was them. Man, they ain't got nothing to do with us. That was them.
Right,
So
right.
that's beautiful. Um, how did you get people? And I hope this is a question that you've never been asked. Uh, but how did you get people to see Ray Leonard Jr. and not Ray Leonard?
Mm. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good question. And it was never about me trying to present something different to people. And I guess I hope this answers your question. Is that I was intentional about being Ray Leonard Jr. and never leveraging the space of Sugar Ray Leonard to
Gotcha.
be just his son. And how I live my life. I tried to be as honest with people as I possibly can. I tried to be intentional about the things I say I'm gonna do. I do it. I try to be in a space where, I'm authentic about the failures that I have, and
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing, especially coming from a family or being, the son of a Hall of Famer, world champion. It's people believe that everything is perfect in your life. And then when you talk about the failures as
Mm-hmm.
a man, the failures as a business person, the failures as a father, and the other things, I think it rationalizes and makes people see you as who you are and not as what the image that you try to portray. So I want the image and the person I see in the mirror to match who I say I am.
Okay. Okay. And the reason I asked that question just to give you some more content is because sometimes people. I remember I went from when my parents so my mother is from Montgomery, Alabama, right? And of course
Mm-hmm.
my father was here from Atlanta, Georgia. So when I would go to see my grandmother and I would go to Montgomery, people would call me Lil Lenny because that's my mother's name, Lenny.
Yeah.
So that's who I
Right.
was. And then I'm named after my father, like yourself, except I'm the third. So
Right.
so it was one of those things that I was trying to get people to see me. I know you know who he is. I know you know Mama. I'm trying to get you to see me. Like I'm a
Right.
totally different person. And so a lot of
Yeah.
times people will they know you Ray Jr., but it's almost like they expecting you to be the splitting image, like the clone of your father.
Right.
And that's why I was
Yeah.
curious of how did you, not that you did anything special, but just how did you get people so when they saw you and they talked to you, it's like, he got his daddy name, but no, he different.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Some of the, I mean, like we got my family's from South Carolina, from Mullen, South Carolina, and from Wilmington,
Okay.
North Carolina, and then from Washington, Georgia. So
Okay.
I'm down, country boy. So some of the old heads, they still be like, that's Lil Ray. It's always, they ain't never gonna change.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's all.
that part ain't gonna never change.
That's always ain't never gonna change. But I've done things, professionally and as a man that my father had never and just never accomplished. Me being the first person in my family ever to graduate from college or go to college, and on either side, that was different.
Oh yeah, that's big.
Me, being there with my kids to be a present father and husband, that's different. For me, being a business person that
Mhm.
is creating generational wealth, creating opportunity for other people in my family and in my community. That's different. So I've separated myself in that space that I do things a lot different than what my father has ever done. But you know what? I got to honor where he is and honor what was accomplished by him. And I don't take it as a spite to say they hit a little Ray because that's what they know me as, and that's what I will always be. But the bigger course and what I'm actually left with when my obituary is read, it's going to be different than just Little Ray.
No, trust me, I get exactly what you're saying, because that's that part, that evolution when you were like in your, say, early 20s, where you're trying to figure out, what kind of man, becoming a man, and then figure out what kind of man you want to be.
Right.
And people don't realize that one of the first things you do, and it's never a slight. So I want to make sure people know it's not like you're trying to slight your dad. People don't understand is we look at our parents and we look and see what did they do good. Okay, I can take that, I can use that. And then we look at what we think as the child, right? Like whether they might have slipped up at, and like, okay, I need to be better at in that place, in that space for my child. So it's never, it's never
Yep.
people don't
Yep.
understand that that's just a natural. I did that. Trust me, I did
Yeah, right. And the thing is, like, so I even talk about was one of the important things is I changed the cycle of what happened within our family. Like my oldest daughter, she went to college on an academic scholarship to Pepperdine,
it.
graduated
Ooh.
my son, my oldest son, he's at Grambling State University. He's playing football. So we went from a whole family, a whole generations that have never gone to college and never considered anything about moving yourself forward educationally. To me, my first two kids have already doing it, and my other two kids are on that same path and doing things and understanding that they have a bigger opportunity and a bigger space in this world than just what was their name. So it's amazing to see how that happens when you change the cycle from where we came from to saying, okay, here they believe better, that that you're moving things forward.
And that's what's supposed to happen. That is exactly what's supposed to happen. Um, well, my next question you already told me about, but you might could expound on it a little bit more, which is ovations. Um,
Yes.
you say that is what was that again?
So Ovations is a talent marketplace, and so it is disruptive within the industry. And so the old model of how you find talent, you book talent, from speakers to subject matter experts to education, and how their intellectual property is controlled. Like so, when you put your stuff out there on YouTube, YouTube
Mm-hmm.
controls what you do. But I want to build a platform that's kind of like the FUBU. It's for us, by us, and we own
Okay.
our intellectual property. It's backed up. So if you sell your books, you sell your speeches, you sell
Mm-hmm.
anything that you do, it is on Ovations that we allow you to keep your content and you own that, and it's direct to the consumer person that actually want to buy it. So the old model of having an agent is
Mm-hmm.
changing because we're bringing two sides together. So if you event planners, marketers, human resource directors, if they need this researcher, they need this person, you can
Mm-hmm.
hire them right then and there, and it's easy, and you control what you charge, you control how you charge it, how you pay for it, how they pay for it. That's all on the person who's the talent. So giving the business back directly to the talent.
Oh man, yeah, most definitely. We got to link up because I like what you doing.
Yeah. So they had this. I don't know if you heard the website. One website called Cameo, and it was
Yeah,
basically
Cameo. Yeah.
yeah, A and B list, D list celebrities would do
Hmm.
pre-recorded stuff. They raised $100 million and had a $1 billion valuation within uh, 3 years. And my platform does 10 times more than what that does, where we're NFT backed, we have blockchain. So it's a whole nother space. And that's 10 times better than what Cameo does. And it's owned by a black man. So you tell
Hey,
me where we're gonna be.
hey, I'm rocking with you. I'm gonna call you after this interview. We can have a
Yes,
couple.
sir.
So yeah. So tell me something is, and this is kind of a two-part question, but I'll start it with the first one, which is basically tell me um something about your father that the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
Far as through your eyes, because a lot of times, as you know, and I'm sure you've seen this, a lot of
Yeah.
times we think we know who your dad is just because we saw him box. You know what I mean? You know how people do.
Yeah.
They see you like, oh yeah, man, I know Ray. So
Yeah.
far as for you, through your eyes, who would you say? Because we really only person we know is Sugar Ray, the
Right.
boxer. We
Right.
really don't know the father.
Ray
So
Leonard Sr.
right. So for you, what would you say? Tell us something about that, about him that we wouldn't know, or maybe an advice or something that he gave you that helped impact you to continue on your path or to get on the path that you're on.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing probably that people don't know is he's a cornball. He's the corniest dude in the world. You think and you see all the flashiness of how he
Uh-huh.
boxed and how he carried
Right.
himself, the charisma. But the dude he's corny. Like you would never. They just like there's no way that this dude was in the ring punching people and doing what he did. When you see him live and in person, you're like, man, this like I would beat you to death. But
Right.
you understand what goes on with him. Yeah, so the thing with you is his nose is
Don't
back.
worry about the dog. Don't worry about the dog, though.
Okay, yeah. They like he is definitely a corny dude, man, and super competitive in everything from like we'll play checkers and I'll
Mm-hmm.
beat him in checkers and he want to play 20 times until he can beat you, right? So but he's like he doesn't match the persona like him day to
Gotcha.
day. It just
Gotcha.
doesn't match his persona. Like it's not like you was like this. You are not a boxer. You are not this guy that was knocking people out. Like you're not that guy. So
So,
that's probably one of the things mostly that people would see when they meet him in person. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, it's not the same.
No, the reason I like that that's beautiful is because I think that like even like somebody like Deion Sanders, they'll take Deion is different than Prime. Prime
Right.
is that's just the money maker, the machine to get the endorsements and get whatever it is he needs to do what Dion wants to do. So I'm glad he's like Sugar Ray was the boxer, the flashy style, but Ray is the man, and the man is totally different than the boxing
The,
persona.
the man is a cornball. He's a corny dude. But I mean, I guess we all got it because I don't know. My kids make fun of me with the dad shoes and all that kind of stuff. But when I go on stage or if I'm speaking
Mhm.
at an event, it turns on. When we performing, we're athletes, we perform when the stage lights turn on, we go at it, and we are whole
It,
different people than what we are.
isn't it funny that no matter how cool you think you are, your kids look at you like, man.
And they be taking pictures of me doing all kinds of stuff, posting stuff. I'm like, man, y'all are terrible people.
Yeah, the
But it's
kids,
funny.
no matter how hip we think we are, no matter how we like been there, done that, we know our kids look at us like, man, you old. They're like,
Yeah,
okay, all right, all right.
they keep you humble, to keep you on your toes
They keep
for
you on your
sure.
toe. What is some good advice that your mother gave
My mother she's here visiting. She lives in Atlanta, but she's been here for about about a month visiting me in California. So
Mm-hmm.
I bought her a one-way ticket. So she's like, you think you slick, right? So, um, but my mother has always been the stable constant in my life that's been authentically honest with me about every single thing. So I learned from her to be a person of your word, to say to do what you say and say what you mean. She has been, a person that at my lowest moment that I could talk to about anything, and um, she has gave me the vision of being not just a good business person, a good athlete, but saying, well, you be a good man, and believe in yourself that Ray Leonard Jr. is enough, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And that was big for me, all these years to say that I'm enough and whatever I do is enough, and I don't have to live up to anybody else's standards, but me and how I
Right.
go through life is enough. And I will always love my mother for that. And she, taught me how to cook too. So, I mean, that's a big thing because
Oh
I
yeah,
can,
that's big. You gotta feed yourself, bro. You gotta feed
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, 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 yeah. She taught, that was one of the things she like, here, like, I'm gonna teach you how to be an independent person. And then that's what she gave me. So
I
I
met
can
your
cook, I
mother. I
can
met
clean.
your mother once
Mm,
in Atlanta.
okay.
In
Yeah.
actually at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
She's always been a person of faith. So she always put
that's
that on
where
me.
I had a chance to meet her for about, I think it was about 10 minutes. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, I
Ain't
had a
ain't 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 nothing changed. She 100 miles an hour. She don't stop. She get up still. And Saturday morning, my kids hate it right now. That every day while she's here, it's Saturday morning. She like 6 a.m. She's cleaning, cooking, playing church music loud, playing the soul soul music loud. So yeah, ain't nothing changed.
okay, okay. What what do you feel your life work is?
Um, my life's work is uh, to take everything that I've learned, the wisdom that I've gained over the years, and take the best parts of me and put it forward to give hope to others. Um, Secondarily is to also take some of the stigma away from things that I've struggled with, that people have struggled with, and create that as being an open dialogue from fathers to their sons, from mothers to their daughters, to black man to black man, to man, or woman to woman, to be able to say, here, I'm struggling with this, and not feel embarrassed, ashamed to talk about if you go through a mental health issue, or if you go through times when you feel sad. I want that to be what I leave behind, is that I was a beacon of light, for those kind of things, to say that
Mhm,
it's okay to talk about it and we all struggle with it, and take away the issues
mhm.
of being, especially in our community, we like, oh, no, you can't talk about your times when you're weak, and it's weak to actually talk about that. But I think there's more strength when you do that. And so if I'm able to say I can create better conversations between families and people and men and women,
Mhm.
then I've done my job. And so that's my life's work.
And if you're up to it, well, I don't say if you're up to it, but if you would like, I've been doing a thing. I did a part one, so I did a thing called Testimonies, and I had Paul Anthony from Full Force. I had ex NFL Merle Hodge. I had a pastor friend of mine on, and I had the actor Ernest Thomas. You and I both know him as Roger Thomas
Mm-hmm.
from West
Yeah,
from West
yeah,
Africa,
Rod, my man,
and
Rod.
I had Jeanette Aguar on, and what it was is basically is just everybody was giving their testimony, like what they've been through and how they overcame it. And the reason I've been doing a thing, I'm working on trying to get guests to do a part two, is what you just said, especially like in our community, but in the world, period. A lot of times everybody's just trying to move to the next thing, and never really dealt with, uh, whatever the struggles may be. And
Right.
so by celebrities or entrepreneurs or business people talking about, hey, look, this is what I went through. And I don't never tell anybody to tell like, hey, tell this story. I don't never tell. It's whatever you want to share. But I always, so when people see it, they can say, oh man, if Ray went through that, or if Paul went through that, Paul shared about having been diagnosed with 3 different types of cancer and overcoming it. Ernest talked about drug addiction and overcoming it. And my friend Pastor Tim talked about how losing a son at the age of 7, and how strange it is when you go to the graveyard and you see your name. Like,
right.
yeah. So it's something there for everybody to chew on. To now, it puts me, like, even me, the host, it puts me to sometimes say, hey man, just because you're trying to do this and trying to do that, whatever, thank God for what you do have. All right. Your life is not as whatever, how people is, whatever you think it is. You're truly blessed. And so we've been, Interruption Podcast, we've been doing things of that nature, because my podcast has to be a more than a just interviewing celebrities, entrepreneurs, and things of that nature. I want to make sure that I'm giving people something they could chew on. So that's why, even with you, I ask certain questions, because I want people to kind of see, and you did that today, kind of get an inkling of who Ray Leonard Jr. is as a man, and not necessarily, separating him from his father. And so that's why I don't, your interview is always going to be your interview, not your
Right,
father's
right,
interview or your mother's interview. This is your interview. So we talk about
right.
Ray.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you talk about the testimony. I'm never afraid to give that, because it's my story is one of overcoming. I speak to the military. I speak to corporations. I speak to youth groups about destructive behavior, because, like I talked about, breaking a cycle for my kids, and I come from a family that I was, witness to a lot of domestic violence. I was witness to drug and alcohol abuse, suicide in the family. My parents suffering through mental health, trying to commit suicide. All those things as a young kid, and seeing those things as you grow up changes you. And especially
Yeah.
when we come from a community that says that you can't talk about it, I held things in, and then that turned into my own issues with being depressed or struggling, lashing out as a husband, and being as a person that's still out of the street, because I wanted the acceptance of other women to make myself feel good about myself, and not knowing that it's just destroying my household. That me being so prideful that I almost lost my home, because I wasn't being honest with myself about my financial issues that I had. So there was so much that I had to learn, and my
Same here.
testimony is one of being real and being open and honest about how we all fall down, we all struggle, but how we get up and how we show ourselves when nobody else is looking. That's the difference. That is the
Yeah.
character of a man. And so I'm not afraid to talk about when I'm when I've been depressed, or I've struggled, or financially, mentally. I ain't got to show you a different side of me, because I am who I am, and then
I was
my
gonna
life
say, it
path is
makes
who I
it
am.
it
You
make
know what I'm
it
saying?
makes
So
it makes you.
yes. So I talk about the greatest thing about being present in the moment to tell your story is knowing that there's more to write. So I always have my pen ready to keep writing the story. So no matter where, if the highs and lows of where it went
Yeah,
from,
man.
I want everybody else to know that you can still take that pen out and you can write a different chapter every time you
I
get up
tell
in the
my
morning.
daughters that all the time. You can change the course. It ain't over till you stop breathing.
That's
So
it.
while you breathing, you can always
Mm-hmm.
turn that thing around and keep going forward, man. So I commend you on that, man. I think a lot of times, man, like it's especially how we grew up back in the day, boys, stop that crying,
Mm-hmm.
big
Shut up.
boy. It's like it hurt. So sometimes you
Be a
gotta cry
man.
when it hurt. Be a man. I'm just 9. What are you
Right.
talking about?
Right. Shut up. What you crying for? You want
Didn't
something to
you
cry for?
didn't you
I'm hurt.
just hit me? Didn't you just hit me? How you gonna tell me? Look, right.
Right.
I told my daughters that even with my wife, we was I was like, that was some of the dumbest stuff to say. You talking about shut up before I give you, well, what was that? You just hit
Right.
me. What
You
was
hit
that?
me. You gotta switch, you gotta stitch your cord. You hit me with what do you expect?
And then the mental warfare when they tell you, go out and get me a switch. Now I got to go get the weapon. I got to
Right,
go get the
right.
weapon
Yeah.
too.
Stop crying.
But yeah, now people don't realize that's where they come from. That because you're
Mhm.
trying to stop crying, but I'm in
Yeah,
pain. But
yeah.
the funny part about that, what you just said, we also took that when it came to our emotions. We we stopped crying, and then we just tried to go forward, but hadn't resolved anything. And then we become, especially when we're hurting. For men, a lot of times we can become real angry.
Hmm.
Don't know why we mad, and then we're taking it out on people that we shouldn't be taking it out on. And then,
Right.
like you said, become destructive. When my father passed, I was told, be there for your mom, be there for your sister, and I forgot to grieve. So
Mm.
now I'm running around here, find out 2 weeks later, I'm gonna be a father. So now
Right.
I'm being angry and I don't even know why I'm mad. I'm mad. I just don't know why I'm mad. And
Right.
so to your point, I get that, but it shapes us to and bring us to a place where now we have to, like you said, self-correct, with the help of God, and start realizing, okay, I need help in this area. I'm not perfect. I don't have to be strong all the time,
Right.
because a lot of times, man, we try to carry that thing all the time and realize that, Dr. Miles Monroe said something, and I'll say this and let you go. I saw on a Man Vision. He said, just because he said, when God brings you a helpmate, in order for this person to help you, they have to be just as strong as you are or stronger.
Mm.
He said, silk is not a weak material. It's delicate. It's not weak though. So when
Right.
we look at our wives, you're looking at, when you thinking strength, you thinking like how much you can live versus how much she can live physically. But
Mm.
she may be more mentally stronger than you are. So that's your helpmate to lean on her. So don't get confused by her being delicate that she ain't strong. And
Yeah.
a lot of times men, we confuse the two. So what we do, we start holding everything in instead of
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, babe, look, I'm struggling with this," or, "Can you be patient with me on this, or help me work through this?" Because we thinking we supposed to be the big, bad, strong person, and not
Right.
realizing she might be stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know that. That's like my wife. Like she done had to deal with the stuff that she stayed around with me for, and then the burdens and things that I held for years. That the weight, the weight is way too heavy for one person. So I'm blessed that she was strong enough to help me lift that and show me how to take some of it off. So still a work in progress, but I like you talk about your helpmate, like
Oh
that
yeah,
that silk, that beautiful silk. It ain't weak.
it ain't weak, man. It's just delicate.
Yes,
In other words,
yes,
you
sir.
just got to deal with it differently.
For
but it's
sure, for
but
sure.
it's still strong. So man, we appreciate you coming on the show, man, blessing us with your presence, man. I'm gonna hit you up either on IG or LinkedIn, man. Get your number and reach out and see if you can help me out with this podcast, man, because I know you're
For
doing big
sure,
things,
man.
man.
For sure. Of course, check out ovations.com. We changing the game. We haven't even launched yet. We're at revenue. We're doing have some amazing people that are already on the platform. So yeah, definitely check it out.
All right, man. Continue to be blessed and stay safe.
Oh man, thank you. It was appreciated, brother.
Peace.